Okay, I'm at 55 Bonham Road in Cincinnati, Ohio. Doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. The main thing we're looking for is structural issues, but really anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access point is the basic. It's a center rear basement stack. There is a Y clean out that has been installed in a cast iron stack. And so we're going to go from here and try to go all the way out as far as we can to the main. So it is cast iron above ground, but the good news is the age of the house is that we do go into clay as soon as we get through the floor. I say good news just because clay, I'm a little bit bigger fan of clay than I am cast iron, just due to, well, that's weird. I don't know if that's kind of a weird little piece of plastic or something that was caught on there. Huh. No, I say cast iron obviously has some, it will rust eventually. Clay has a pretty much indefinite lifespan. So I was trying to kind of maybe knock this thing loose. It's a weird piece of plastic. It's not causing any issues, but the major thing we see out of clay is just that it is really common to find some root intrusion, which you can already see. There are little tiny bits of minor stuff that you really can't do anything about at this point because they're so small. This looks like some toilet paper or something here. Yep, it's stuck to the camera. A little bit of root intrusion there. And so yeah, the most common thing we'll find is root intrusion in clay lines. It's probably 80 to 90% of all the clay lines I inspect have some form of root intrusion, so it's not uncommon at all. Will require some maintenance and some just some attention. In most cases, stuff like this, you can start with like a chemical treatment or Root X, and do that like yearly as preventative maintenance. But if these are thick enough, which they're getting to that point, I would recommend an initial cleaning to try to get rid of all the larger pieces of roots, to clear the line first, and then yearly treatments of roots, Root X or something similar. Beyond that, but you can see here we do have an awful lot of root intrusion right away, which is, again, it's common. But so what I may have to do is take the I have a standoff on the front of the camera here. It holds the camera up, but it also makes the camera itself, gives it a larger footprint, so it catches on a lot of this stuff. So and try to keep kind of punching through it. But we'll see if we get to the point where it's just too thick. I have a feeling one of these is going to be the last one where I just can't get it to go through anymore. Most of these, the camera would go through without that standoff on it. These are pretty small. But it's definitely going to need an initial cleaning. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it through this one. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull back, and I'm also going to turn some water on. So we made it out about 50 feet, well, 50 feet on the camera. I'm going to go ahead and pull back, and hopefully we can get past these points with just the camera. We'll try to run some water through here to kind of flush the system out a little bit. But as of right now, it's going to need at least an initial cleaning, possibly a reinspection if we can't get through the line. So far, structurally, it looks pretty good. It's all holding shape. I didn't see any damage. We made it out to about 50 feet. It does look like there is a lot of debris, and I'm not sure if that is, could be also from floor drains and stuff. A lot of that debris that looks like it's I am going to pause the video for a second. I'm going to rest the camera here, but I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to turn some water on upstairs. Try to see if there's something down here. Oh, okay, here we go. There's an area drain and a stationary tilt down here. So we're going to turn that on, let that run. And I did get the piece off the front of the camera head there. But I am finding some evidence of some mud here on the front of the camera. Hopefully we can make it out to about 50 feet. And if nothing else, what we can try to do is we'll push out all the way to the main. If we're having some view obstruction, we'll push out as far as we can. Hopefully have the camera rinsed off, and then nothing else. Usually we can rinse the camera off when we're out, and then be able to see when we pull back. But it may take a second for the water, if it's really flat in the line with all this stuff, it may take a second for the water to build up enough to make its way all the way. So, yep, there you go. Already got something on the front of the camera. That's where having that standoff usually helps, is it, as you're pushing out, a lot of times it causes the stuff in front of the camera, it kind of plows it up in front of the lens, and then having the water helps rinse it off, but sometimes not really good enough. So maybe the water. If nothing else, I'll go down to that like 50-foot mark, and hopefully we'll get some water down there soon. Right in through here that I couldn't get the camera through the first time. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a second. We'll stay right around this spot and let the water build up. We can go flush the toilet or something. Give it a minute so that the water can get to the point where the camera can rinse off. Alright, so it looks like the water has made it down there. You can see it kind of running through here. So we'll try to see if we can get that stuff rinsed off the camera. Here we go. But this is that section where we were. And so just so we know, if you can see the camera actually made it through there a lot easier. It's only about 1 inch in diameter. So without that little piece on the end, it shouldn't make it past a lot of this root tree. And then, like I said, we'll try to flush the line out a little bit. And also the roots will kind of build the water up a little bit too. And so it could have the water get a little bit above the edge of the camera lens too. So you'd like to be able to have that standoff so you can hold it up out of the water while it's on. And again, we'll try to. There's a lot of roots in here. Hopefully we can see, because it looks like there's a lot of mud. So it may be a situation where you need to clean the line out and then have it re-inspected to see if there's any structural damage behind these roots, because there's just a lot of root intrusion here. And so it's hard to tell as of right now whether or not it's because that it's just gotten in at the connections and it's running along the bottom of the pipe, because that's where all the water sits. Or a lot of times you can get in at the connections. There's pipe connections on on clay lines about every 3 feet, and there we are dropping right down into it. So it looks like the sewer main has been replaced. I'm going to try to bounce this around, get the lens cleaned off as much as I can, but I think it's got some spider webs and stuff on it, which are really a big pain to get off. We'll see what we got here. There we go. That's not too bad. And so we have made it all the way to the main, which is good. And so we'll see how long it takes that water to make it. But it's probably going to take a while for it to build up enough to get past a lot of those roots. There's a lot of roots in there. Not enough to where it was blocking my camera, but enough to where it's going to hold on to material as it tries to get through that area, and most likely going to need a cleaning and a re-inspection because of just how frequent and just how much roots are in the entirety of that line. I'm going to go ahead and try to pull back here. It's going to take a long time for that water to get down here, I'm sure, with what I saw. You can see this part has already been replaced, and the main, at least that portion of the main, looked like it was replaced. And this is all PVC. About 90, there we go, right about 95 feet is where it goes from clay into PVC, which is probably just about where the line is, where the city takes over responsibility, but without actually being able to, obviously it's different on every line, so we don't know. Sometimes they go further onto the property in different areas as far as their responsibility, but it could be basically at that point where the PVC takes over is where MSD takes over responsibility. So the water is making it through there now, as you can see. Just took a minute. So there are a lot of roots here along the bottom, and we're hoping we can see something. So the water is making it through, but you just see basically from that 95-foot mark, a lot of roots along the bottom. Sure that we can see and see if there's any kind of indication of any broken pipes. But again, it's going to be hard to see without with all these roots in the way. Obviously, you're going to have some situations where like that, where the water is being held up above the lens. So far I haven't seen anything that is sticking out structurally, but you know, as you can tell, even here, you can't really see. I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off. Because essentially from the 95-foot mark, you know, pretty much all the way back, it's the entirety of the line. It has a lot of root intrusion. But, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of old growth trees out there that have been here since, you know, the house, maybe, I wouldn't say when the house was built, but could be. I mean, the line looks like it's holding shape. Again, we get these spots where, you know, the camera's unable to get any visual. But I don't see any indication of like broken pieces of clay or anything in the sections that I've seen. But again, you know, you'd have to clean this so that the water could escape fully, or at least get it out of the way to be able to go through with a standoff on the camera to rise it up out of the water, raise it up. Most of it seems like it's from about 30 feet out to that 95-foot mark, which is probably pretty close to where it exits the house. And you can see there's still a little bit there. Most of that stuff like this, a lot of it, they wouldn't even feel it if they used a cutter head going through here. It would just go right on by without them being able to feel it. Right on by. But in most cases, you're going to be able to clean this out for reinspection, and then beyond that, you're definitely, as long as the trees are here, you're going to have to do some form of maintenance. There are, based off of the condition that I could see, it is a good candidate for lining as a permanent solution to the roots. You would obviously, basically it's a balloon that you would insert, so they would clean it, get all the roots out, and then they could line it to make sure it never happens again. But most, you know, they've been also these kind of things. You clean it and you do maintenance on it, yearly maintenance, or if you're just going to have it cleaned, you don't want to use the chemical. You have it cleaned. You know, if done well, you can usually get 5 to 10 years between cleanings. 5 years is usually a pretty good span if it's done well. Just obviously depends on the tree and the situation, but at this point, it does need, you know, to at least be cleaned to be able to inspect it better, to do a full structural inspection, and but. Like I said, for what I can tell, it looks like, you know, the pipe is intact and holding shape. It's just the joints where the packing has kind of shrunk and allowed some finger roots to get in, and so they're kind of taken over at this point because it doesn't look like they've had any maintenance done to them in a while. So again, very common situation with houses of this age and this pipe material. But that is pretty much it. Just I would say have the line cleaned, either mechanically or jetted, and a reinspection done to check the other areas for structural issues that we couldn't see with the camera, and it was, you know, pretty hidden by the inspection with all those roots in that water buildup, and debris. But yeah, a cleaning, a re-inspection at this point is the first step, and then you know, obviously another inspection and another opinion of severity on the overall condition of the pipe. So that'll end the inspection at 55 Bonham Road in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is in Wyoming.